I'm back. Dan the Fourth, streaming, playing Blue Gremlin, pilot Blue Gremlin of the Dreamweaver. Stormweaver? Stormweaver. Of the Stormweaver, we continue our quest to uh, just explore the storylines, the various storylines of um, Endless Sky. We've unlocked a new one now. We have unlocked the Wanderer storyline. We have an ambassador from the High to the Wanderer, which are bird people north of the High population. They were worried that I might be unfettered, associated with the unfettered Highs, so this could be a little touchy negotiation. But before we do that, we're going to help get a shipyard set up on Greenwater in the Fossum system in high space and get a couple thousand extra credits a day to help pay our rather extensive salary needs, because we have a lot of ships. If you look at the list of crew, the Stormweaver has 150. All of our dreadnoughts are 80s. All of our kestrels are about 70 each, 68. And the pug ships that we've captured, are 57. And the shield beetles range from 56 to 51. Now, the Sarad Sojourners, the utility ships that we bought, those are only 17. The Geochorus is only 15. The Skane and the Roost and the Arak Hulk and the all the others are just under 10 or 10 or under. But then we've got all these fighters, and they all take one too. They all take a personnel. They're all staffed with a crew. So what that ends up being is our crew expenses, our crew salaries are 240,000 a day. That means we have 2,425 crew. That's a lot. That's a that's that's a big fleet. We got to pare that down, but right now we're still got to be prepared for just about any eventuality. So that's where we're at. And now we're going to take off, and we're going to escort these freighters down to Sunracer, which is only 2 jumps away for us. 3, I should say. Looks like we'll have some fun when we get there. Looks like there's some pirate activity. Lances. These are ships we can sell. There's this shipyard in this planet. Alright, so we picked up 3 lances. We are waiting on the big freighters from Greenwater to catch up to us. Might take a bit. There's one. That is the Star Queen, the Chrysovasila, which is the ship that, let's check our missions here. Mission, a new proposition. Escort the freighters to Sunracer in the Mirfax system in order to pick up supplies for the shipyard. Yes. And then we've got to go back to high space to take Alondo as an Earth ambassador. So, waiting for those freighters. There's one. Is it just one? Let's land and find out. You've left one of the ships behind. You're supposed to be escorting behind. We got another freighter coming. There it is. And there's another one. All right, 3 freighters. The bulk freighters are loaded with supplies without any problems. When one of the spaceport workers asks Turner where the supplies are going, he replies, "These are just to expand a business venture of mine on Glory." Oh, that doesn't sound good. It doesn't sound like he wants to let people know what he's doing. Gee, that could be wonderful. New proposition, escort the fighters back to Greenwater to begin construction of the shipyard. All right. Fleet of large marauder ships, mining. Checkpoint Solace. I'll show you those checkpoints when we launch. I do not want to take on a bunch of marauder ships while we are escorting some fragile freighters. Well, not fragile, but certainly more vulnerable than we are. So we're just going to jump back to Greenwater. We'll do the trade thing. And we will, we'll go to the shipyard. We're going to sell these lances because we don't want them. So there's 250,000 that we picked up. And is there anything at the outfitter that we want? Not seeing anything. We've still got some interesting cargo that we haven't used. All right. Let's go. 3 jumps and we're back. And now we gotta wait for those big freighters to show up. There's the Star Queen. A lot of quark jumping in and out. others are three freighters. Construction on the shipyard begins almost immediately after the supplies are unloaded from the freighters, starting with the demolition of the rest of the park. A downtrodden looking crowd gathers to watch the demolition, but Turner assures you that there are plenty of other parks in the city for them to go to. Something big is going to come of this, Captain Gremlin. Yeah, we're going to get lynched. Turner says, just know that you were all part of it. You'll know the shipyard is done when you find an extra 4,000 credits in your pocket each day. Goodbye until then, Captain Gremlin. Thank you so much. I am looking forward to it. And we'd be able to buy uh, Earth ships here. Look, we can buy energy blasters. We can buy uh, missiles. We can buy shield generators, Earth shield generators. We can buy Earth fuel cells, batteries. So that's not terrible. It's not a horrible thing, I think. Maybe to someone. All right, job board. Hi home. With Alondo to learn more about the fallout of the existence of the hive being revealed to billions in human space. And Hi Home needs probably food. Yep, food. So we're going to sell all that, buy all food, and we don't need to leave any cargo space because we're not going to have any battles or anything on the way. So we are. Land on High Home. You follow Alondo's ship to the surface of High Home. Instead of landing at the main spaceport, his ship veers off to a separate area of the city where a cluster of several large structures are set slightly apart from the rest. A high warship shadows you as you approach. Alondo's ship touches down in a smaller port atop one of the high rises here, and you follow suit. As you touch your ship down next to Alondo's, the high warship following you moves to idle above the spaceport. Welcome to the secure port, Alondo greets you as you exit your ship. Our home away from home. What's with the warship? As I mentioned earlier, their government is on edge at the moment. I'm sure they aren't expecting us to be violent, but they also want to be prepared for anything. Whatever the case, we have a briefing to get to, Alondo says while motioning to the door inside. Alondo leads you to a meeting room that feels large for the number of people present. It looks like a lecture hall that could easily fit 100 people, but there are only 6 here. Aside from Alondo and yourself, there's a shorter man in what you recognize as a Republic diplomatic uniform, messing with a holo projector that doesn't appear to be working. A taller man in a suit, glad to hear that tech issues are universal, even 1,000 years after we've expanded across the galaxy. A taller man in a suit sitting next to a woman in a formal dress in the front row, and an older looking high woman sitting alone at the end of a row of seats. Glad you finally decided to show up, Alondo, says the man in the front. And you brought a guest, says the high. I did, Alondo responds. This is Captain Blue Gremlin, member of the Free World's Council during the war. Helped repel the Pug invasion. A capable pilot. Am I missing anything? Our responses are that sounds like everything, or just that I'm good looking. Just that I'm good looking. There we go, says the man who is fiddling with the holoprojector as it whirs to life. No time for introductions. We're late enough as it is. Everyone, please sit down. The holo projector displays a series of graphs. You're no expert in data analysis, but a highlighted chance of total crisis at the bottom, ranging from 61% to 96%, does not look promising. Please turn your attention to the chart here, he says, while pointing to a bar graph. We've continued to track the number of new arrivals to high territory. As noted on the left, the number of new monthly arrivals was in the low hundreds prior to the leaks being broadcast. Within only a short time after, that number quickly rose to the thousands. Mitigation efforts by the Navy to dissuade civilian captains from discovering the wormhole in Ultima Thule by circulating reports of increased pirate activity have since suppressed this number somewhat, but the rate of new arrivals is still well above what it once was. It has been noted that the character of these new arrivals is also different. Where once a majority of new arrivals were lone explorers or lost captains, they are now increasingly captains following crumbs while looking for the high, or bringing large groups of tourists with the promise of witnessing the aliens from the news reports. Further research will need to be done to determine the threat that these new arrivals pose in continuing to escalate the situation. What's the problem with new arrivals? Or do we not have a way of blocking captains from entering the wormhole? I know that we don't have a way of doing that, so that's a stupid question. What's the problem with new arrivals? We do not have the means of handling a large influx of humans, says the High. For decades, we have dealt with a small trickle of humans arriving through the wormhole. We have grown accustomed to it. But if that trickle were to suddenly become a downpour, then our services would quickly become overrun. The man presenting the graphs nods in agreement. Of importance is also the effect that this situation may have for the Republic, he says, while pointing at another graph labeled Artifact Penetration, which shows a map of various stages of events and their outcomes. Artifact penetration is the point at which a government cannot reasonably attempt to pretend something is anything but the truth, at least not while still holding to the claim of being a representative government. Our most optimistic estimates suggest the Republic may be forced to acknowledge the existence of the High within 3 months, or we would lose so much credibility as to compromise electoral stability. The actual time limit is probably sooner. What are the plans to prevent that, or would that be so bad? What are the plans to prevent that? We are currently still gathering information and weighing various potential options. Complete containment of this situation may already be impossible, and so plans which aim for that may not be worth following. If so, we would instead follow the plans which seek to formally reveal the existence of the High to humanity in as controlled a manner as possible. Only time will tell if that is the case, though. After the briefing is finished, the High Woman approaches you. Greetings, Captain Gremlin. I am grateful that you will be helping us. My name is Sayari. I was the envoy to the human government a century ago. Isn't this the same gal that we're already carrying to go to the Wanderers? I don't remember. The present situation is all the evidence needed to make it clear that the Republic has never mentioned the High, nor publicly acknowledged receiving an envoy from them. Before you can get into a conversation with Sayari, the presenter butts in. Yes, yes, and I have a task for you to be helpful with now. Please meet me outside at the port, he says before swiftly leaving the room. Leaving the room, Sayari chuckles. So much on that human's mind. I have not seen him take a break since he has arrived. It is as if he is more interested about this situation than any high. All right, so now we got to go see him. But what was the name? Oh, no, I don't remember the name of the high ambassador we're taking. So let's go to the spaceport. Sayari follows you out to the landing pads to meet the presenter. Captain Gremlin, he says, while grasping your hand in a firm handshake. Zilin Yang, Republic Deputy Minister of Foreign Affairs. I apologize for not introducing myself sooner. It's an honor to meet a hero of the pug crisis such as yourself. Uh, it was hard fought, but it was necessary. You're every inch what I expected, he assures you. Now, about that task, I mentioned during our briefing that we need to determine how much of a threat these new arrivals might be. Not a threat in the sense that they will become violent, but in the sense that they could exacerbate the situation, such as by returning to our space and making a big stink about what they found here. The best place to go for this would be Allhome in the Hyadu system. I would like to follow and observe, says Sayari. You're free to come, says Zillin. Let me pack a few items onto your ship, Captain Gremlin, and we can be on our way. So we're doing two missions at the two storylines at the same time here, which is fine. So we just got a mission to go to Allhome with the ambassador, but we also have a mission to go to the Wanderers with an ambassador. And I think it's more important to go to the Wanderers with an ambassador. So we're going to do that first. Because chances are they're going to have us come back anyway. I don't think we're traveling with anybody, so we're just going to have to deal with it. Where are we going? All right, we're back at Vara Kachai. Once again, the Wanderers allow you to land, but with a large flock of their white light warships surrounding you to herd you into a particular landing zone. A small delegation of Wanderers meet you, and Sayari, yep, greets you and Sayari, whom they greet hesitantly in the high language. She responds, and a heated exchange follows. You do not understand any of what they are saying. Either ask her what they are talking about or wait for a break. Wait for a break. She holds up a paw to you while speaking a few more sentences to them, then says, they are saying that the High are attacking them, and they want to know why. It must be the Unfettered who are raiding them, and I am trying to explain that the Unfettered do not represent the High people as a whole. They continue talking for a while, and then the Wanderers ask you a question. Sayari translates. They want to know what humans want, and why you have come into their territory. All right, so here's my choices. I'm just an individual explorer. I don't represent my species or their governments. Or my hope is that our species might both benefit from trading goods and technologies with each other. Or I believe that different species should communicate with each other rather than remaining in forced isolation. Since they're in forced isolation, I don't want to counter them. I'm going to go with the second one. My hope that our species might both benefit from trading goods and technologies with each other. They respond, and Sayari translates. They say that they would perhaps be willing to trade with you, although to form a broader trade agreement with humans would be a serious decision, and one they cannot make lightly. She pauses to listen again and then continues. They also say that they will discuss among themselves whether you should be given access to Wanderer technology. But again, that will not be a swiftly made decision. She pauses as the wanderer speaks again, then continues translating. They say that in their travels, they have met few species truly capable of living in peace, and they hope that yours is one of them because she pauses as the wanderers speak, then says, because they hate to make new friends, only to lose them again. It's a mild threat. Speaking through Sayari, you try to reassure the wanderers that you have peaceful intentions. They speak with her for a while longer. She tells you, they say I will be allowed to stay here as an ambassador, and they will also let you land on most of their worlds, but they will not welcome any other high into their territory. I fear that they distrust the high because of the actions of the unfettered, and being associated with me may harm your chances to win their favor. For your sake, we should find a different way for you to communicate with them. How can we do that? She says, there are scientists on the high world of Greenwater who develop speaking machines to allow the high, who do not know the human language, to communicate with humans. I will write a letter asking them to give you one of these speaking machines so that you may talk with the wanderers about without needing me as an intermediary. So that is our deal. Um, and we apparently still can't deal with them. Let's see. Restricted, friendly, friendly shipyard outfitter, restricted outfitter, friendly shipyard outfitter, friendly, friendly, restricted outfitter. Let's go, let's quickly jump down to the one that is friendly and has a shipyard and an outfitter just to take a look around, and then we'll go back to high space to Hayadu, to Alhom. All right. With Sayari on the separate diplomatic mission that apparently she's cloned herself because she's also going to stay in Wanderer space. Uh, that's what happens when your game is freely developed over 14 years, I think. Could have had separate ambassadors. Um, let's see. Done. All right, let's land and see what they got. First off, let's go see if we can get a map. Buy a map. All right. They have, I'm not seeing any hand to hand weapons. They have radiant thrusters and steering. They have, I'll tell you now, they got the best power. They have reactors that include a battery in them and generate tremendous energy for the heat that they generate. My fusion reactor takes 100 outfit space, generates 1,000 energy and 2,400 heat. Their yellow sun reactor takes 82 outfit space, uh, 900 energy generation, and only generates 1,200. So like half the heat, and it acts as a 2,600 uh, unit battery. Their biochemical cells, their large one, only generates 297, but it only generates 235 heat. So, and it has 30,000 battery energy capacity. So that's really, really, really good. Their shielding has outfit 41 takes 420 shield energy, but makes a 210 uh, factor shield and doesn't generate any heat. Uh, their missiles are tremendous. and their Sunbeam gun 34, which is about what a uh, the pulse weapons take, and it does 432 shield damage and 180 hull damage, and 726 heat damage. So they have some really, really good tech. The main thing we want access to is their power systems. Their uh, propulsion systems are nothing to write home about. Also, we can look at their ships. Um, right now, we don't have a license to buy any of their ships. I don't think we have a license. We don't have, no, we got a remnant license, a coalition license, and a militia license. Uh, when we get a wanderer license, we'll be able to buy their ships. But look at their heavy freighter. That's heavy. It hauls 1,100 cargo space um, with 13 crew. It's a massive amount, and their strong wind medium warship has a 19,000 hull and 28,000 shields, and that's just a medium warship. Eventually, their ships become really, really powerful. Uh, and their medium warship only takes 17 crew, which is crazy. Um, the problem is that it costs 40 million credits. And the problem with their energy system is their reactor costs 7.5 million credits. Their big one costs 14 million. Um, their biochemical cells are reasonably priced though. So the Wanderer tech is definitely worth getting, but it's not a slam dunk by any means. Let's jump back to Allhome. We'll go through the pirates world. Back way. There we are. All right. The rate at which new ships show up isn't tremendous, so Zilin starts by speaking with some of the older captains who have been here prior to the news. You can learn a lot by sharing a drink with the right merchant, he says to you. One captain in particular has been camped out here to intercept new captains as they arrive and give them the induction tour. He also has a copious set of notes that he gladly shares with Silin. After I heard the news, I figured I'd help by keeping notes on new arrivals. They make themselves very obvious with the way they gawk, he says. We had two new ships come in yesterday, a freighter and an osprey, but there's been nothing today as of yet. It's normally only one or two smaller ships a day, if that. Xylan decides to next search the spaceport for captains that showed up recently, but just before heading off, a Star Queen full of passengers lands in the spaceport with everyone on board pressing their faces against the windows. You have to be kidding me, Xylan says under his breath while approaching the ship. Welcome, one and all, to the land of the high, the ship's captain says while walking down the boarding ramp with all her passengers behind her. Excuse me, Captain, do you care to answer a few questions? Xylan shouts up to the captain. She looks concerned to see Xylan standing there in a Republic uniform, but agrees to talk after shooing her passengers off into the spaceport. What is it you need to know, officer? The captain asks. Although Xylan isn't a Navy officer, he doesn't correct her. I'd like to know why it is that you decided to bring all these passengers who had never been to high space before. Captain scratches the back of her head. Well, after seeing the news back home, I figured the secret was already out. Might as well make the most of it, you know? Uh, let Xylan handle this or butt in? Didn't you hear the Navy's advisory? You could have gotten your passengers killed coming here. Yeah, that's true. There's always pirates on this route. The captain scoffs. Well, yeah, but I figured it was just a cover up from the Navy to stop people. Would that not imply that the secret isn't truly out then? Sayari asks while giving the captain a stern look. Well, when you put it that way, the captain says nervously. Okay, just spit it out already. Am I in trouble? No, Xylan says while looking away, but they might be. You follow Xylan's gaze to a beat up berserker that looks like it can barely fly landing in the spaceport. You're free to go, Xylan says to the Star Queen captain. You approach the berserker as it finishes landing. The captain of the ship exits, looking far calmer than the condition of the berserker would suggest he should be. Hi, he says awkwardly. Can I help you guys? What happened to your ship, or did you get attacked by pirates on the way here? What happened to your ship? Captain looks back at the poor state of his interceptor. Oh, that. Yeah, I ran into a couple pirates on the way here. Nothing I haven't dealt with before, though. So, you've been to high space before? Xylan asks. Sure, plenty of times, he responds. Xylan looks over the interceptor with a quizzical expression. May I see your pilot's license? Yeah, no problem, the captain says as he quickly pulls a license out of his pocket that looks almost as beat up as the interceptor. Xylan jots down the details and hands the license back to the captain. Thank you, and maybe tag along with the merchant fleet on your way back home. That sounds like a good idea, the captain says before walking off into the spaceport. You continue to question more captains in the spaceport over the course of the day with Xylan and Sayari. Most turn out to be repeat visitors or those who have taken to conducting their business entirely in high space, but they are all familiar with arrivals who heard of the way to the high through whispers in spaceport bars or were sold coordinates by knowledgeable captains, and many are able to provide information about these encounters. It seems that everyone has been peaceful enough in interacting with the high so far, but clearly the word is getting out more as time goes on. All right, don't know what our job is next. Go to the spaceport. One day I'll finally retire from my life as a merchant. When that happens, I know no better place to live than high space. All right, let's look at the job board. We do have to go to Greenwater, and we have to go to Return to High Home in the Yahai system. Let's go to Greenwater first. What is this job here? Captain of the Far Director will pay you to take you to this pirate world. Yeah, no thank you. What are these here? Probably lots of stuff to Swift Song. Both Swift Song and Ice Lake. All right, so, and what's this one? High Gourmet wants to try food from Haven. 5 tons from Haven. Oh, holy smokes, another pirate system. Uh, Payment is 121,000. Yeah, not enough to make me deviate from my course. I need heavy metals in green water. Remind me when I'm at high home to store some stuff. Because I'm carrying around a bunch of stuff that I really don't need to. You land on Greenwater and seek out the technologist that Sayari told you to contact. a High named Eruk. His eyes light up when you describe what you need from him and why. Contact with a new species. How very exciting, he says. I am glad for Sayari that such an opportunity has been presented to her, but our speaking machines are very valuable. Before I give one to you, will you do a small favor for me? Of course. What do you need, or can I just pay you for one? Of course. What do you need? He says, the human immigrants tell me that in the region of your space they call the deep is a space station, a library that houses human cultural artifacts and a database of human literature and history. Bring me a copy of that database and I'll give you a speaking machine. No problem. I'll give you a copy of the database as soon as I can. Or how will I convince them to give me? It's probably for sale. It's a capitalist republic. No problem. I'll bring you a copy of the database. All right. So where we got to go to for that? We have to go to Human Cultural Archives. We got to go to Markeb from Alexandria. Look at that. We got missions in Alexandria anyway. How fortuitous. Let's see what else we got here. Going to High Home. So let's go to High Home. Get these jobs done and see if they want us to go back to human space because we're going back to human space. This doing two at once is not a big challenge, but it's kind of amusing. They don't have a time limit. You can just hang on to it for a long time, like those scientists that I'm hauling around for months and months and years. Drop off your cargo of filament, wish your passengers best of luck, drop off your cargo of pants. You return to the briefing room at the secure port with Xylin and Sayari, and Xylin begins transferring his notes into a terminal. He then pauses while staring at something on the screen. I'm running each of the pilot's licenses and ship registrations through my copy of the Republic's pilot database. They've all come up as valid and with mostly clean records, all except for one. He turns the terminal screen toward you and Sayari, displaying an inputted license ID that the system says does not exist. This is from that Berserker pilot. What's more is that if I run the ID of the ship, it's registered as stolen. Sayari gives a look of concern. Are you suggesting that this captain was a criminal? Highly likely, Xylan responds. A pirate with a stolen ship and a counterfeit license. I will inform our spaceport authorities to look out for this captain and his ship, Sayari says. It may also be beneficial if you were to make this database available to us so that we may monitor other potential criminal humans. I can see this the a lot of the storylines of this game and really the visuals that they describe and the conversations being transferred to the big screen, and I can just see all the high looking like and sounding like the Alvin and the Chipmunks characters. I think that would be hilarious. They'd all be 3 feet tall and talk like chipmunks. Um, that It may also be beneficial if you were to make this database available to us so that we may monitor other potential criminal humans. Unfortunately, I'd have to gain authorization for that, says Xylin, but I'll see what I can do. Now, should I help track down that captain, or so are pirates trying to sneak their way into high territory? Should I help track down that captain? No, leave that to the Highs, Island says. At least for so long as this is our only lead on pirate activity in high territory, although I imagine that we'll find more if we go looking for it. We have had run-ins with your pirates before, Sayari says. Most of the time they cause only mischief. Very rarely do they raid our fleets or cause any large trouble. I fear, though, that this situation will only embolden them. Just then, Alondo pokes his head into the room, looking somewhat exasperated. Captain Gremlin, could you give Remington a hand? He's out on the landing pads. He disappears again without waiting for a reply, and hear his heavy footsteps grow quieter as he walks away. You go help Remington, Xylan says. I'll continue my work here. All right, so let's go to the landing pad. You exit the building onto the landing pads with Sayari following behind you and find the tall man and the woman from the front row of the briefing waiting by your ship. Captain Gremlin, is it? It's been a good while since we last met, he says while shaking your hand, perhaps a little too firmly. We met back on Hephaestus near the start of the war. It's been a while, so I'll forgive you if you've forgotten me. I'm looking forward to working alongside you to handle this emerging crisis. You note that his appearance is rather casual compared to what you would expect from someone of importance in the syndicate, wearing khakis and a collared tee as opposed to the typical suit and tie business attire that you see on syndicate businessmen. It is certainly in contrast to the young woman standing behind him, who is wearing the usual business attire. Now, let me introduce you to Terry, Remington says, while gesturing to the woman behind him. Oh, I remember Remington. Terry Adrianopoulos, pleasure to meet you, she says, with a broad smile and a slight bow. The young woman goes from calculating to gregarious in the blink of an eye as your attention shifts to her. She seems at once pleasant and approachable, while at the same time being slightly off putting and uncanny. It's an eerie feeling. Terry is, well, let's call her my secretary, Remington says with a sly smile. Terry seems none too pleased to hear that, though she doesn't correct him. Alondo said you needed my help with something, or the syndicate sent their PR team to deal with this. Alondo said you needed my help with something. Ah, yes. Well, you see, I'd like to travel to Cloudfire in the Waukee system to get the lay of the land around the conflict between the two high groups. Care to give me a ride there? It'll just be the two of us. I will be accompanying you, Sayari says. Just the three of us, then, Remington adds. The Waukee system is where Mr. Campbell's video that's been plastered all over the news was taken. I imagine any new arrivals attempting to look into the validity of the video themselves would find their way there, so it'd be worth checking in on the place. Sure. We can go to Cloudfire. Uh, what else needs to go to escort them safely into a dangerous region of space to reach Cloudfire. If we take this job, we'll probably capture another armor beetle and maybe some other high warships. Problem is, I don't have another jump drive to drop in him, and I don't really want another beetle. Um, so we're not going to take that. We are going to go back to Alexandria, though, and deal with that before we go to Greenwater. Good grief. And then we'll go to Cloudfire. All right. So Alexandria needs industrial. And we're going to leave some room for cargo. And because we're going to human space, we're going to hire our extra crew again. And that's it. We're going to. Oh, well, maybe next time. I was going to store some stuff, but All right, so let's go. All right, let's land on Alexandria. The family you've been transporting pays you 150,000. You wish your passengers the best of luck and get 1.58 million. You had wondered how you would get a copy of the entire cultural archive, but it turns out to be easier than expected. The station has a small museum gift shop which sells a copy of the archives on a data card. The perfect gift for the budding historian in your family. Hold all of human history in the palm of your hand. On sale now for only $39.99. Given that a cheap data card costs a fraction of a credit, it's a bit of a ripoff, but you gladly buy one to take back to Eruk. Let's also go to the spaceport. Nothing there. Job board. 124 scientists need some research on Dancer in the Terra and the Rastaban system. We can do that. 4.27 million credits. Yep. And 7 scientists on Chiron, and 5 wealthy tourists going to Chiron. So we'll take both of those. All right. And what's this? 28 tons of waterproof fiber to Vale. Okay. So we're picking up some jobs all around the universe. But first, let's go back to Greenwater, where they need heavy metal. Having a fleet with jump drives makes this so much easier. You wish your passengers best of luck on Greenwater. You return to Eric's workshop and give him the data card. His eyes light up with excitement as he makes a copy of the card and returns the original to you. I have spent my whole life studying human culture, he says. This is a treasure to me. And now here is your speaking machine. He hands you a small spherical device with speakers and microphones mounted on it, as well as what looks like camera lenses. The device is programmed with the human and high languages, he says. It is not always possible to translate perfectly between our two languages, but it will try to give you a sense of the range of meanings in what is being said. Is there anything else I need to know? He humors you by demonstrating how the machine works, holding a conversation with you where he speaks in the High-Sit language, and the machine automatically translates for you and then translates your responses back into his language. It apparently uses its cameras to track who you are speaking to or listening to. It's an impressive piece of technology and easy enough to use. You thank him for his help and return to his ship. All right, so now we can go back and get a license with the Wanderers to buy their stuff and spend all our money on power supplies. 83 tons of speculums to, that's a lot of speculums to Cloudfire. Okay. I'm gonna fire all my. All right. The nice thing about Cloudfire all the battles will happen around us. We're not involved. You drop off your cargo of speculums and collect your payment of 127,150 credits. It doesn't take long to prove Remington's hunch correct. You find a group of new arrivals gathered by a group of high captains and crewmen, asking them question after question. Why are you guys hiding up here? Where can I buy some of those weapons of yours? Do you eat acorns? Some of the high look intrigued by the attention they're being given, but others look annoyed. One of the human captains seems to be riling the others up and being rather hostile with his comments. Do you really think you could invade us? You're like half my size. I could take you on in a fight any day. Remington shakes his head. I'm going to step in before this turns ugly, he says while pulling a small device out of his pocket. It's not anything that you recognize, but it has a high appearance to it. He shouts to gain everyone's attention before tossing the device between the two groups. As it stands, a life-size image of a pug appears, looking almost realistic, aside from the fact that its facing angle seems to follow your perspective. Most of the human captains jump back. Can anyone tell me what that is? Remington asks. That's one of those pug things, says one of the human captains. Correct, and I take it you don't like them? Why would I like something that invaded my home planet? Says another captain. Exactly. So why are you doing that to these high here? What's the issue you take with them anyway? Well, I'm just. The captain begins to trip through a response before being cut off. Captain Gremlin, Remington says while turning to you. Can you tell me what the difference between the high and the pug is? The high aren't invading us. The high are cuter. The high are friendly. The high aren't invading us. But they could, one of the captains pipes up. Really? Remington responds. So because these high here are fighting pirates of their own species, you think they can invade us? Could the Syndicate's security forces invade the Republic because they fight off pirates? Or the Republic decide to invade the free worlds because they fight off pirates? Maybe the answer is yes, but there's a big difference between could and will. My point is that if these high were really interested in invading us, do you think we'd all be here right now? The high are not hostile to us, so why would we give them a reason to be? By sitting here and bugging their warship captains, Remington says to the crowd. You look over. Remington seems like he's got his shit in the same sock anyway. You look over to the group of high to see Sayari speaking to them in their own language, likely trying to prevent the high from doing anything brash. Remington speaks with the crowd of humans for a little while longer, eventually convincing them to leave the high alone. Let's head back to High Home, Remington says. I've seen enough here, and we should probably think about having the Spaceport Authority here restrict who can land, at least until all this blows over. Perhaps, Sayari responds. All right, so we're on Cloudfire. We've got a job going back to High Home, but I'm going to jump over to uh, Kachakrai to the Veracatrai planet and talk with them. With the help of your new translation device, you were able to contact the Wanderer government. They welcome you back and tell you that a wanderer named Iktat Rek has been appointed as the official envoy to deal with human visitors, and he should be arriving at your landing pad shortly. Rek is slightly larger than most of the wanderers you have seen, with muted white and brown plumage and a calm, dignified bearing. It is very rare, exceptional in our history that we have to deal with, cope with other species, he says. I'm assuming this is our translator giving us a range of options. And now we find ourselves dealing with two at once. He is speaking the high language, and the translation device does its best to render his words in your own language. How did you learn the high language, or how long have you been fighting the unfettered high? How did you learn the high language? Recently, we managed to capture some of them as prisoners, he says. They have been raiding, visiting us for 20 years, cycles. At first, they only stole unguarded stores of food and fled if we approached. We allowed them to take it because in our culture it is a duty, obligation, to share our food with those who ask for, demand it. But recently they have become far more aggressive, desperate. They captured one of our worlds and killed many wanderers, and we built warships and drove them back. Some of them tried to hide on the planet, and we made them our prisoners, guests, and slowly learned their language. Do you know what the unfettered want, you ask? They want food and land, elbow room, says Rek. This we guessed when they first raided us, and the high named Sayari has confirmed this to me, that the unfettered have squandered, consumed their own worlds, and now make war to get others. What is the history of your species? How long have the wanderers been in this region of space? What is the history of your species? We are an ancient people, he says. This region, territory, is not our homeland. We came here through the eye nearly 10,000 years, cycles ago. The eye, you ask? A wormhole, he says. Once in an eon, era, the eye opens, and the wanderers journey through it to a new home. Since the time of our oldest history, legends, it has been so. 100 times, maybe 1,000. We have left one home and journeyed to another. Each new home the eye brings us to is full of devastation, destruction, and it takes many lifetimes to set things right. Then the eye beckons again, and we move on. And each time we pass through the eye, we become something new. What do you mean you become something? Why would you travel through the wormhole if you are leaving fruitful worlds that you have worked hard to develop and only ruined worlds await you on the other side? I understand that. They go fix things. What do you mean you become something new? The first generation of wanderers that passes through the wormhole undergo the molt, says Iktat Rek. They are altered in their being, essence, and become giants, people of renown. Those who stay behind in the safety of the old worlds remain only themselves and slowly diminish. So all wanderers who have courage, ambition, yearn for the eye to open so our species may once again grow, evolve. What makes the wormhole open? Who or what controls it? Why does the molt happen? How does it work? Why does the molt happen? How does it work? Those are questions that we do not ask, he says. It is a taboo, religion, mystery for us. You ask a few other questions, but do not gain much more information. He does mention that other Wanderer worlds have agreed to sell you some of their technology and that you will be allowed to view, admire, envy their ships, but not to purchase them. You thank him for his time and his willingness to trust a member of an entirely unknown species and return to your ship. So let's go to the spaceport. And depart. And let's go back to, let's go to this one out here and see what they have as far as the spaceport and outfitter and a map. Shipyard, light freighter and light warship, outfitter, map, local map, and look, we have the Wanderer Outfits license, so we can buy Wanderer outfits. So, if I wanted, I could trade my fusion reactor for a Pebble or for a Yellow Sun reactor. It's about a $6 million difference. So let's do that. So now I've got 1100 energy at idle and 2600, 800, 650 energy storage, and I've got a lot less heat issues. And I'm using less outfit space. So I am going to sell one of my outfit expansions. I don't need any of their weapons. I guess I could store some of this stuff here that I don't need. So let's do that. Let's show outfits in cargo. All right, in cargo we have particle burst turrets. We have a swing fire missile pods. We have a swing fire missile rack. We've got a couple meteor missiles we can sell. I'm going to keep the broken jump drives in cargo. I'm going to keep the limit breakers in cargo. This prototype shielding, I'm going to put it here. All right, so there we go. Now let's look at our little ships. So our Kolofez fighters that we captured from the core have small heat shunts. They have small cogeneration modules, small biochemical cell, outfit space needed 17, energy generated 76, heat generation 67, energy capacity 7,500. So if we were to sell all the generators, sell all the small cogeneration modules, sell all the battery modules, and buy the small biochemical cells, sell the large collector modules. Now all of these guys have, they're under powered and cold as heck. So can we buy 2 of those? Which will give us, yeah, that'll work. And then they don't need any heat shunts at all. That's pretty nice. And they got 15,000 energy. storage. Yepper, that's pretty good. All right, so small heat shunts we want to keep. Let's leave them in storage here. All right, we'll keep them in storage here. Let's look at our finches. Our finches have shield modules, small repair modules, cooling modules. Who has cooling modules? These guys. And north wind cooling. Those guys. All right. Got 820. Yep. And small cogeneration modules in everybody, along with supercapacitors, small batteries. So sell the small batteries, sell the supercapacitors, sell the collector modules, and add a small biochemical cell, which gives them 7,500 and negligible heat. Let's take the cooling modules out and see what we get. Yeah, too much heat. So let's add those. Install. All right. That should do it. Okay. Now, I don't, I really don't want to change all of our, good grief, change everything on everything. And I can't afford to sell all these fusion reactors and buy yellow sun reactors for all of my kestrels. Uh, I just, I just can't. It's just, it's too much. So those options are available, but not something I'm going to take advantage of at this point. I got stuff stored there, and that's fine. 37 wanderers need to get to, so they've got transfer, go somewhere and come back. How about these? Uh, they just want to go somewhere. New animal found. 104, 20 tons of equipment, $1.3 million. A lot of moving people around in money to be made in Wanderer space. Back to High Home and the diplomatic mission there. And we'll revisit the Wanderers at some point. You return to the briefing room at the secure port with Remington and Sayari. This high holographic tech is pretty nifty, isn't it? Remington says while playing around with the device he used on Cloudfire. Way more advanced than anything we've got back home. It's also pretty useful that there's a port for one of our cables. Otherwise, I never would have figured out how to get that pug image on there. Ah, yes, Sayari says. Many decades of interaction with humans has led us to accommodate much of our technology to your needs. Humans are our guests here, so we saw it only right to make you feel more comfortable. A shame to see a few bad apples may spoil the bunch. You have apples up here? Remington asks. Sayari chuckles. Just as we have adapted our technology to human needs, we have also imported many human foods and learned human sayings. It has all been very exciting. Sayari pauses for a moment. Our civilization is tens of thousands of years old. There is little in that time that we have not done on our own, but seeing such a young species has led to much excitement. I wish for that excitement to not turn into strife. This is what I explained to the High on Cloudfire. These humans are young. Be patient with them. Glad to see that you still have a positive view of us, or, well, we're here to do our best to make that wish come true. Sayari goes on about the history between High and humanity, how a colony exploration team sanctioned by the Republic found the wormhole in Ultima Thule and made first contact between the High and the Republic. Early on, they used the Quarg as translators between the two parties, but eventually the High began to learn the human language. Some humans also began to learn High, but it seems much more difficult for a human to speak High than the other way around. While Sayari is telling stories, Terry walks in and motions to you. Gremlin, I need something with someone with a ship and enough skill to not get blown up. Meet me by the landing pads when you're ready. Ooh, this sounds exciting. What do we got going on? When you exit onto the landing pads, you find that Terry has just finished ensuring your ship is refueled. All right, Captain, I have a simple mission for you. We need someone to scout out the ship frequencies in various uninhabited systems in the far north. We know how many merchants are arriving here, but we're not sure how many are attempting and failing for one reason or another. I need you to fly through those systems and report back here with what you find. She takes a deep breath before saying, Ultima Thule, Rigel, Rajak, Kardax, Hasselha, Oblate, Volax, Mokhtar, Sumar. Think you can remember all those? Good. She doesn't even wait for a response. Stick around in each system as you can, as I want to know just how many merchants, pirates, and navy ships are passing through that region. She tosses you a datapad containing coordinates of all the systems she mentioned and starts walking back inside. Just come back here when you've finished. Yes, ma'am. Usually I get paid for stuff like this, but we'll see. All right, I'm going to hire a crew because I'm going to human space. I'm going to hire a big crew. And let's go. Just coming back, huh? All right, so let's see. We'll start with Rigel. And go to Hasselhoff. And Ultima Thule. And Rayjack. And Sumar. bivouacs. Let's land at Murfak. Fuel everybody. Look at jobs. Fleet of Marauder ships. Group of wealthy tourists. We can take those. 2 wealthy tourists. We can take those. 4 passengers to Vale. 2 farmers to Vale. What's this? To memory? Nope. Union Station. Not to memory. What else we got? Oh. 84 tons of gingerbread cookies by December 25th. Yeah, no, not going to happen. So I got a fleet of Marauder ships. Oh, and remind me I will remember to show you the, we're going to High Home, and they need food. The checkpoints. So that's a checkpoint. Let's see. It doesn't really show them too well. There's another one. Right there. And, yep, they're around. So, first thing we're going to do is we're going to look for the Marauders. So they must be in Mokhtar. So we're going to go to Mokhtar first. There they are. And they've been eliminated in Africa. Alright. And now we go to the plate. And Cardex. Modified barb. I haven't heard of those. Grave of Anguish. A nest. Must be where that barb came from. Wasp. Alright, so we've done all of that. Now we just gotta wait for all those ships we captured to catch up for us, to us. Which could take a bit. flying around us, circles around us as they get here because I've asked my group I've asked them to group around me. Is it just two that survived? Nope. There's at least one stuck on Rayjack. Alright, well, I'm gonna land. They'll catch up eventually. Terry quickly takes a copy of your ship's system logs upon your return. Thank you, Captain. I'll have these analyzed in no time. Terry runs back into the building just as Sayari comes out carrying a small box. Captain Gremlin, I know we are asking much of you, but I have a task of my own. She hands you the box, which displays official high government branding. Inside is an encrypted data chip and a metallic badge, a symbol minutely engraved into the front that must be the high government's emblem. Surrounding it in a circle is some sort of pattern, which reminds you of the codes found on identification cards and licenses in human space. On the other side, there is extensive writing in a script that looks to be high. From this, you presume that the badge is some sort of diplomatic ID. Please deliver this message to the Republic. I trust that they will disseminate it to your other governments. That badge should make it easier if they give you trouble. Consider it done. All right, so I have now a high diplomatic badge. It doesn't show up, so I think it's just something that they talk about for this mission. I also picked up a shield suppressor. I got to get rid of that. Now, let's go to the shipyard. I wanted to see this modified barb. How is it modified? Holy smokes, it's got inferno rockets. Shielding. A modified fuel cell. Huh, I'll be. What do you know? See something new and different every day. Alright, let's sell these ships I picked up. Sell, sell, sell. I don't have any drones. Okay. Sell. And back to see. Our next mission is to Sol, to human space. Deliver an important message from the High to the Republic on Earth in the Sol system. I've got an aid shipment to the High, to the Unfettered, 70 tons. I'm going to take that. Escort to Cloudfire. Yep, nope. Just this. Okay, we'll deliver that message and then that'll be good for the day. All right, buy all, leave room for cargo. Hire crew, I kept them. Bank is good. Spaceport, nothing new. Off we go. And now maybe some of the ships we captured will catch up to us here on Earth. I don't know. Let's see. Ultima Thule. So probably not for a while. On approach to the spaceport on Earth, you request to speak to a diplomatic official. Given your renown from the Pug War, they promise you a speedy 2 or 3 business days wait. But after showing the diplomatic ID that Sayari gave you, that quickly shrinks to 2 hours. You meet with Jamal Rahman, the Chief Minister of Foreign Affairs and Xylan's boss. I take it you've involved yourself with this high situation, he says. You nod. Well, I apologize, but I do not have much time for small talk. What is it you need me for? You hand him the encrypted message that Sayari gave you and explain where it's from. He thanks you and leaves with the message. Some hours later, Rahman returns with an encrypted data chip. This is our response. Safe travels, Captain. So, we are at a point in the game where we are playing diplomatic tag, going back and forth from Earth to High Home. We're picking up odd jobs along the way, but nothing that's. Oh, Hugin Station in the Zosma system apprehend the mysterious hackers. Million credits. Better take it. Hugin Station is a high security prison. With your previous experiences tracking down the hackers, this is almost certain to be a trap, but you've chosen to go anyway. Yep. And what have I got here? I've got wealthy tourists want to see Alexandria. I'm taking 2 scientific expeditions back there. And 18 tons of voltage converters to Asgard. I can take that. That's nothing. Okay. Oh, what do we got here going to Humanica? 6 passengers and 2 passengers. Accept. All right. So back to High Home. Crazy. All right. So that's next time. Back to High Home and let's see what the diplomacy has uh, wrought, and then maybe do some jobs in Wanderer space and see what is going on up there. Or we may jump down to Coalition space and take and explore south of Coalition space. Or we can go to Remnant space and search south of there. Or we can take that warp gate out to the middle of nowhere and find the Benrodians and get into a big battle out there. That'll be fun. Um, so again, lots of options at this point. It's a huge game, and I'm gonna keep playing Blue Gremlin. Uh, we'll slowly refine and get our fleet set up.